Hey guys, subscribe for daily content, and if you're shopping for gear, make sure you check out the description for the newest items at some of the very best online retailers. There's also links for some of the items that I personally recommend. Thanks!
What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got another interesting knife review slash knife overview to share with you guys. This is the Kizer Mithril, which is part of their X series. This is like their hyper premium line that has a lot of extra effort in it, right? We're using premium materials, but also, a lot of times extra milling or inlays or special things. And this apparently does have some special things to it. It is a button lock, but they call it their kinetic fit button lock or something like that. It's supposed to be a more beefed up, more secure, more reliable button lock. Now we are going to test it, right? I mean, if we're going to make claims that it's better than a regular button lock, or it even implies that it's better, that it is better than a regular button lock, then yes, we absolutely have to test it. But this does look like an extra effort knife versus what we typically see from Kizer. It does look and feel nice for sure. It also has a high price tag to go with that. So we're going to talk about it. Thanks so much to Kizer for sending this in. Thanks to my patrons for supporting me. Make sure your notifications are turned on for the Metal Complex YouTube channel. Let's go ahead and measure this knife. The overall length of the Mithril coming in at 8 inches. Blade length is 3.5. Cutting edge is about 3.3. Let's do some size comparisons. Any custom scales you find in this section can be found down in the description under Original Goat and Others. So up against my full-size Excalibur and my compact Excalibur, you can see here it's just a little bit shorter than full-size Excalibur, quite a bit bigger still than the compact version. Let's put it up against the Spyderco PM2 and the Spyderco Para 3. PM2 a little bit bigger, Para 3 a little bit smaller. And then finally, we'll put it up against the Benchmade Griptilian, or in this case, the Ritter Hogue and the Hogue Deca. How is the action on this knife? It's pretty good. Feels nice, nice and snappy. I can, just in this section right here, I can feel the bearings. But it is otherwise very, very smooth. Drops down, doesn't swing, but it does drop down. The entire time that I have carried this, it has manipulated correctly. The lock has always engaged, right? I have not put any force yet on the spine. I've not done any, heavy force or impact. I've carried it very casually. We are going to do that here in just a sec. But no, the knife operated exactly as I expected it to. I was doing, kind of light, normal tasks, opening packages, cutting up some boxes, things like that, just normal stuff. And it did everything I expected it to do very easily. The thumb disc is actually in a pretty good spot, and it makes it very easy to manipulate. You can also just sort of slow roll it out if you want to. Honestly, really good. The action feels really good. No complaints there. Carry profile, thickness up against the Spyderco Para 3. The Mithril may be almost exactly the same, maybe slightly thicker. Length and height up against the PM2 and the Para 3. You can see here that this guy is not going to take up any more room. In fact, it might take up slightly less room in your pocket, at least height-wise, versus something like the Para 3. It is nowhere near as long or tall as the PM2. Let's go ahead and do a hardware check. I'm going to get out my tools. As per usual, my tools are very inexpensive and very recommendable. You can find them right down in the section of my description that talks about the tools I use on this channel. We have a T8 for the pivot. We have a T8 for the body screw, which goes all the way through over here. So really not much hardware, and it is a simple plunge lock. So there's probably a spring underneath that button, so we need to be paying attention to that. Outside of that, I doubt you'll run into too many complications taking this thing apart and putting it back together. As long as you have the right tools for the job, you should be good to go. We are looking at a combination of carbon fiber, titanium, some anodized titanium, and then we have DLC Ultra coated M390. As far as I can tell, DLC Ultra is just DLC. I don't know that there's anything else really to it. But it is DLC. It is authentic. I mean, it is real DLC. So the weight on this guy, 3.8 ounces. I think that's pretty darn good, considering the blade length is 3.5 inches. So very nice there. Let's go ahead and measure the blade stock thickness real quick. Blade stock thickness is coming in at 136 thousandths, about middle of the road. Let's go ahead and move into the meat and potatoes here. This is a good looking knife. It's not a completely and totally unique profile. It certainly has a very knifey knife profile. We have an extended compound tanto. So right here, we have a pretty thin hollow ground edge, and then out here we have the thicker Tanto blade, right? So some people are going to find that frustrating to sharpen, other people won't. Some people will like how it looks, some people won't. I think it works just fine. I mean, two separate edges. For me, I always prefer to go with knives that, it's one continuous edge, but I won't deny that this does look cool. I do like how it looks. Something else that I really like is the little glowy part on the button there, and it does absolutely glow. If we apply some light to it here, then yeah, you are going to get an illuminated. I'll probably turn the lights off a little bit here so you guys can see. There we go. It does glow a little bit. It's obviously it's not tritium, so it's not going to last forever, but it'll last for a little bit. I also like how this carbon fiber has been laid in and then textured. That is really nice. The inlay work here looks fantastic, and they were smart enough to do it on both sides. Very, very cool. The effort overall with Kizer's X series has largely been pretty much what they advertise. It is a lot of additional milling versus what we normally see, additional inlay work, texturing. We have cool things like this gold floating backspacer, a lot of almost like Shirogorov level detail back here. Really like that. The pocket clip looks nice, and it does have a little bit of a bill, but in practice, this is a good pocket clip. It works really, really well. I like the gold pivot collar. In fact, I really like the gold and black look all the way around. It looks and feels like a premium knife. The blade looks nice too. I love satin DLC. I just think that looks really, really cool on both sides there. Let's talk about this lock. I am really, that is the thing that I was intrigued with. Oh, by the way, Kizer lists their HRC hardness for the M390 on this knife as 59 to 60. I'll say the same thing. And Taylor does have a little bit of, data on Kizer. I don't know how much on M390, but his website does have some data there. Hopefully more in the future. Hopefully companies, like Kizer and many other companies will reach out to him and offer to send samples so we can get things tested in larger batches. You can find his website linked at the bottom of my description. The last clickable link there if you want to look through the database or you want to send him something, whether you're a viewer or you're a company or whatever, right? If you want to send him something for testing. But they need to get this up, in my opinion, to a 60 minimum. 59, you'll have arguments here or there that it's okay or that it's fine or that it's optimized or whatever. In my opinion, 60 plus. I think M390 shines its best when it's about 61 or even 62, but at least 60. So that would be nice, especially on this premium series, right? Because these are not priced in a way where people are solely going to collect them. They're expensive, but people will absolutely still use knives in this territory. So about this lock system. They list it as a beefed up pillar that's supposed to eliminate blade play and be more reliable. Locked up, first of all, are we centered? Yes, we are centered. In the locked out position. Let's deploy it. Let's just deploy it like we normally would. Solid. Solid. No blade play. Very good. Stick. No, none, surprisingly. How about the spine tap test? Oh, are you kidding? Immediately? Nothing that I did using the knife would have put that type of force on the lock. And as much as I don't like the spine whack test, I'm not going to whack the knife as hard as possible. But any locking system should be able to withstand a slight tap, right? Or some light, like if I'm just applying pressure here, I'm going to keep my fingers back because I'm not wearing gloves. Just pressure? No. But a tap? It takes almost no effort. This cannot be the case. I am somebody who has said a million times over that turning a knife over like this and swinging it as hard as you can against a solid surface does not provide any meaningful information because there are no circumstances where you are ever going to apply that much force to the back of your knife. But under normal circumstances, using your knife, twisting it, kind of moving it, is it possible that your knife might lightly tap another surface in the open position? Yes. This is nothing. It took no... I'm going to open this as hard as I can. Okay, now we're like really locked out, okay? Kizer. This is no better than in fact, like hold on a second. What do I have out here that's an actual, just like a button lock? I've got top liner locks, which you absolutely should have done on this one. Kizer has some of the best, at least as far as what I have seen of the internals. They have a really, really good top liner lock that looks very similar to, where is that Kizer knife? I know it's out here. It looks very similar to an actual Spyderco compression lock. Here's one of their super inexpensive top liner locks, right? So we have a button-operated top liner lock that presumably is like the other ones, right, where it's got the flat spot on the other side of the pin. Perhaps, right? Maybe not. Maybe this is just one of their regular top liner locks. This is nothing. What does this knife cost? Right? This is nothing. Why are we screwing around with these plunge locks on these ultra premium knives? Like, Kizer is clearly capable. Number one, like all the way around, a button-operated top liner lock would have been better on a knife like this. Like, this just would have been better, obviously more secure. But this, whatever, beefed up, super kinetic, it's no effort whatsoever. It is very possible that I got a dud here. In fact, I know that they're sending another Mithril for there's some variation of the Mithril they're going to send, so I'll test it as well. But listen, as invalid as I personally believe the average spine whack test to be, right? The average person on YouTube who does a spine whack test, they go so far over the line. They just swing that like I've seen I think we all remember the video of the guy with the railroad ties and the ZT knife, right? And he's just bashing that thing against it. And I was like, what the heck does this prove? In what circumstance would that ever be normal for a knife use, right? Never is the answer. But this, I mean, literally nothing. Can I just set it down? No. It is next to minimum effort. It is almost just the weight of the knife and gravity. It is slightly more force than gravity applies to this knife that causes it to disengage. This is completely and totally unacceptable. Now, does that mean that Kizer is a bad company and they make a bad knife? No. What it means, in my opinion, is that Kizer needs to steer clear of plunge. It's another example of why plunge locks in general really we should just move on from them. A button-operated top liner lock with proper geometry, right? The new way that Kizer does it, the example that I tried to give wasn't a very good example here. I do not know where that sheepdog... There it is. Kizer has done the sheepdog and many of their newer knives in a way where it's very similar to a Spyderco compression lock, where the lock is getting compressed between the lock face and the stop pin. And ultimately, another Kizer product here. It is fine. Kizer, just do this. Why are we screwing around with this? This would have been awesome as a button-operated top liner lock. It would have been so much better. This is a $69 knife, giggity. It's way better. Kizer, you can do it. You can do better. You're not a bad company. You're not a company that's, misleading people. You make good products. Your prices are good. I think the X series is interesting, but the X series is your top of the line. It needs to be at least as dependable, at least, in terms of the locking system, right? It needs to be at least as dependable as your budget stuff, right? So, we're at the point now where the locking system is a deal breaker. Period, right? Unless you plan to use this thing in the same type of environment that you would use a quill to write with, right? Some sort of delicate object. Unless you're going to treat this thing like an egg that you don't want to crack, I would not recommend this. Kizer needs to rethink this whole, I think Kizer needs to decide, all of these companies need to decide moving forward if they still want to screw around with these plunge locks. They are, at their best, they're fine. At their worst, They are incredibly unreliable and dangerous. The number of plunge locks that have disengaged them, I mean, I've had frame locks, liner locks, right? I've had all sorts of locks disengage. The number of plunge locks that I've had disengage is so much higher. It's crazy. And this is supposed to be a special one. So, no. That's how we're going to end this review. No. That's too bad. I like the effort. I think that it looks cool. I think it's fun to see Kizer do different things. I think if the locking system, by the way, this comes in at $350. If the locking system was solid, if you had a button operated top liner lock on this thing, just put the half moon guy in there, just like this, and put the glowy thing in there. Do that. I think your effort here, I think maybe it would have been a little high, but I mean, like 325. Honestly, I feel like, what we did here between the DLC coated M390, the compound grind, the texturing here with the inlay, right? You've got the glow button. I mean, it's a lot of extra effort here. It's super cool. I like it. Don't like the lock. Don't trust it. We need to move away from this. That's going to be it for me today here, guys. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.